afternoon. Hawk was beginning to grow weary with all the death he had encountered. This was showing up to be a hard country, one he had never been in before. He had no reason to be. That had all changed just a few short months ago. Hawk Haynes was now a landowner, the owner of 3 sections of land, to be exact. Hawk had been in California for 5 years and 9 months, digging for a little gold when time allowed. He'd hit a fair strike, too, enough to set him up to buy a nice place and run some horses. However, that wasn't how he'd come by all the land located in Texas. Hawk had gone to California by way of doing a favor for an old friend, Nathan. Nathan had asked him to go out there and see after an elderly couple who had no one they could look to for help. Hawk was told he would be awarded a piece of land in exchange for his time. Being a landowner was a dream that Hawk Haynes had always had, and he'd mentioned it to Nathan in passing conversation several times. Hawk had no idea he would be a landowner of such magnitude. He was to work or make his way the best way he could when he got to California, but his main job would be taking care of an older couple named Ted and Grace Rollins. They would provide him with a place to bunk and 3 squares. How well he fared above that was up to him. Hawk was easing along on the wagon, thinking about the fact that once again Nathan had been instrumental in placing him with a job and a place to live. Not having folks at any age is tough on a person. If a man gets down on his luck, it helps to have folks around. If you're doing all right, you still like to have folks. A son likes to talk to his folks. At least the sons I knew in the war sure did. A boy can gain a lot of wisdom listening to his dad. Guess Nathan stood in for me on some of that. Still, ain't the same, though. Hawk was glad he'd had his folks as long as he did. His mother was a seamstress and his dad was a storekeeper. That's how he learned to shoot. His dad would let him take one of the new rifles out of the store. Hawk smiled as he began to think about that. I wore that little rifle slap-dab out. Dad says I was a natural. Then one day some man came to the store while I was at school. He had this little bay gelding, a 3-year-old, green broke. Good conformation. Even I could tell that at 8 years old. Dad said he traded the man out of the horse for me. I learned how to ride and ride well on him. First thing you know, I was shooting off of him. Me and that little bay had done it all. Don't know who that man was, but he sure messed up by trading that horse off. He made a dandy. Fact is, I called him Dandy. That horse taught me about other horses. He taught me how to treat horses, how to train instead of break. I don't want a broke horse. I want a trained horse, and there's sure a difference. He remembered the little bay as if it were yesterday. Hawk was not afraid of work, nor much of anything else. Without knowing it, he was a born horseman, plus he was as fast as they come with a 6-gun. He handled a rifle like he cut his teeth on the barrel. Hawk was gifted with hand-eye coordination. He figured it had to be hereditary. He never got around to asking his folks about all that. His friend Nathan had selected Hawk for the job of taking care of the Rollins couple because he could handle trouble in any form. He knew Hawk to have a kind heart and live by his instincts. He trusted Hawk to take care of them when they passed, and that is just what he'd done. Hawk gave them the best send-off a gentleman or lady could ever ask for. Mr. Rollins passed first. Mrs. Rollins didn't last a month once he was gone. Hawk figured that would be the way of it. He could see the love between the two. They wouldn't be apart for long. It seemed this older couple had befriended Nathan at a time when friends were indeed hard to come by. Nathan had told them he would return the favor someday. Hawk never asked Nathan what the Rollins did for him. He put stock in the idea that Ted Rollins had saved Nathan's life at one time or another. It wasn't his business, so he left the